Welcome to Rambam in Depth. Today we'll be discussing the Rambam, Hilchos Toen V'nitan, Perek Ches Halacha Aleph. The Rambam says as follows: Kol metaltalin, all movable objects, b'cheskas zeh shehein tachas yadei. There's a presumption that it belongs to him, to the person in whose possession it is found. Even if the plaintiff, person who claims that it belongs to him, even if he has witnesses that testify that it belonged to him. And the Rambam explains, Ketzad, how so? Beged zer kli zer shebiyadcha shebetech beischa shalihu, v'ani ifkadetiv etzlecha. This vessel, this utensil that's in your hand or in your house, really belongs to me, and I entrusted it to you, or I lent it to you. And witnesses can testify because they knew that it was previously in my domain. However, the defendant says, no, you sold it to me or gave it to me as a gift. So the defendant does not have to make a shvuah midiraisa, a biblical shvuah, just a shvuah's heses, which is a lighter form of shvuah, and he is freed of responsibility. He keeps it. So this is based on the idea that whatever is in your possession, the presumption is that it belongs to you. But what exactly does that mean? So there's a Noda B'Yehuda who is talking about the question of identifying a corpse where the body was unidentifiable, but the garments were identified to belong to that person. So he goes into the whole discussion about if you go by garments or not, because sometimes garments can be borrowed. But without going into all the other side issues, the Noda B'Yehuda discusses the Chazakah, the presumption that whatever is in your possession, a movable object that is in your possession, belongs to you. So the Noda B'Yehuda says that this is a very powerful Chazakah. It's more powerful than the Chazakah of Eisheish, the presumption that a woman who was married remains married until you can prove otherwise, because Cheskes Eisheish does not overpower a Miggo. That means that if there's a person has a Miggo, that means he could have said a more advantageous lie if he was lying, and the fact that he didn't say it proves that he's telling the truth. That's a form of verification that a person is telling the truth. That is stronger than a Cheskes Eisheish. On the other hand, he brings from the Shulchan Aruch, Choshen Mishpat, that the Chazakah, that whatever you have in your possession, a movable object, belongs to you, is stronger than a Miggo. So you see that that's a stronger Chazakah. So the way it's understood, what the Noda B'Yehuda is saying, that the Chazakah, that whatever is in your possession belongs to you, is a Birur, is a verification that it's yours. It's not just a din. The Halachah says that this is the status. Unless you can prove otherwise, we keep it the way it was before. No, it's actually a verification. It's a Birur. That's how it seems the Noda B'Yehuda holds. The Even HaEzer also says clearly that this Chazakah is a Chazakah of Birur, and the proof of it is that if you go over and you grab something away from a person and you're considered to be a Gazlan, you're a thief, and you're disqualified to be a witness. But how do you know it really belonged to the person from whom the Gazlan takes it? Maybe it belonged to someone else. How could you just condemn a person and call him a Gazlan? Because it's a birur, it's a verification that what he's telling, that what he possesses belongs to him. However, the Chasam Sofer in a tshuva totally disagrees with that. He doesn't bring the Noda B'Yehuda, but he says that there are different kinds of chazakahs. There are two kinds of chazakahs in the Torah, he says. There's a chazakah of a minute, like a woman who comes with a little child on her shoulders, and she acts like a mother to a child. And based on that, you can even give out the most serious of punishments if a person has a relationship, an illicit relation, an incestuous relationship. But how do you know it's the mother? So the Torah says we go by the way, the custom, that's the presumption that she is indeed the mother and everything that entails. That's one kind of chazakah, he says. And the second chazakah, which is an inferior one, if you don't know if a situation is the way it appears or the way it may have changed, you say you leave it the way it is until you know that it changed. And that's another kind of chazakah. He says, however, the chazakah of whatever a person has in his possession belongs to him. Lo yadaiti l'mokim mishum svar. I don't know what basis it has. I have no logical explanation for it. So, in other words, it's not a real chazakah, but you can't take away something from someone without proving it. You have to leave it the way it is until you can prove it otherwise. But it's not really a birur. That's the Chasam Sofer. The Tzemach Tzedek also in a tshuva, in Choshen Mishpat, Siman Yud Beis, brings this chazakah. And he says that even though there's a chazakah, a non-sada, we are witnesses that what a person is holding on to belongs to him. He says, even though it's a chazakah, mikol makom, nevertheless, yachaliyah she'ena emes kain. The truth could be that it's not that way. We have to go by what our eyes see. I see that you're in possession of it. We take it that it's yours, not because that's a birur. So it seems that Tzemach Tzedek agrees with Chasam Sofer and not with the Noda B'Yehuda.